And we're live here on Facebook. Welcome to all those listening in podcast land and also watching on YouTube. Welcome to Balls and Sticks, the podcast for Sunday, July 13th, 2021. Rich, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, and also a hello to anybody that's listening to us, out in podcast land as well. I'm not sure
I said that.
if you mentioned those folks. You
I
did?
did. I
Okay.
did.
Facebook Live, podcast land, and YouTube.
Yeah. Catch us
joining us
wherever
this
you need to, however you want to consume us. Catch us that way. We love to have that stuff going on. Man, busy weekend for both of us.
Yeah.
You guys had a garage sale. We had family in town and went up to Mankato, Minnesota, to visit.
And a baby dedication this
Yeah.
week.
To-
And a baby dedication today.
to visit some family. So, yeah. So, I don't know if it's going to be a super long show, but let's start talking about that. We're starting off with some speed today, Rich, because we're
We
gonna
sure are.
instantly head into the NASCAR corner, and then a couple of and then I'll let you give the topic between that, and we're gonna talk NHL later as well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk some baseball. The Cubs are playing really well right now, but there's still a long ways to go.
Yeah,
To
we're not even
get
halfway
this
through the
month.
season.
Not yet, yeah. Lot of good teams that they got to go through before they hit the All-Star break, which kind of leads into our topic of will they be buyers or sellers?
Yeah, that's going to be a good discussion point. What else do we
And
got?
we'll also be wrapping up giving you how the NBA playoffs are going. We probably haven't watched any of those games, but we'll tell you how the series are going.
Yep.
And kind of recapping what happened with the Belmont Stakes and also maybe a correction
Yeah, we're
from
not.
last week's show.
Yeah, I mean it's technically a correction, but we got it wrong, as did everybody else apparently. But first,
That's
Rich, you know what it's time for?
Is it time to roll the intro?
The intro, not the outro. Intro.
Yeah, they're the same. But
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.
And we're back. Okay, folks. Man, as we do every week, we have to get into the poll question before we do anything.
yes.
So, Rich.
Yes, we do.
How'd that poll question do? Where did you vote? Talladega Nights, Happy Gilmore? That is the question. The people want to know.
It was a tough decision, Mike. I wish that somehow the matchups would have fallen where these two movies didn't square off in the quarterfinals, but they did.
Yeah.
And I went with Talladega Nights.
You know, that's a good one. I think I voted Happy Gilmore.
You did, along with 5 other people, and only 2 other folks joined me with Talladega Nights. So Happy Gilmore will be moving on to the semifinals, and because they are the lower seeded movie, they will face off against our number 1 overall seed, Field of Dreams. So why did you go with? I went with Talladega Nights.
Yeah, I
They're
love
both good.
Rich. You know, I love Talladega Nights, and every night I clip my daughter into her smart bed. You know what I say?
Slingshot engaged.
Exactly. Slingshot engaged. So I do that every night. But the price is wrong, Bobby.
Well, they use another word, but we keep it family friendly around here between
Yeah.
for our show. But for me, they're both good comedy movies and ones that I can probably put in and watch at any time. But so it came down to me of which one had the more memorable quotes that you can remember. And for me, that's Talladega Nights.
And I'm not.
I like to think of my Jesus as a insert one of the many jokes on there.
I like to
Um,
picture my Jesus wearing a tuxedo T-shirt because he says I'm serious, but I'm here to party.
Yes. I want to go fast. If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, I mean,
Slingshot engaged.
we're what, 15
Um,
years? We're 15 years past after the show ran, and we still have people. I mean, we have brand new commercials coming out with the cast. Yeah, I get it. I don't blame you.
Exactly. And I'm going to come at you like a spider monkey. I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew.
Shut up, Chip.
That's right. But Talladega Nights falls. So we'll see Adam Sandler an Adam Sandler sports movie. I mean, there's some good ones from Happy Gilmore too. I eat crap like you for breakfast.
You eat crap for breakfast?
No.
Shooter McGavin. I mean, Shooter's having a comeback. I mean,
Yeah.
it's this movie. Both movies have been having a resurgence with some randomness in the last year or so. So it's like, it's hard to say either one is a bad pick.
No, not at all. I would have rather seen Talladega Nights move on, but it didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So our first semifinal matchup, and this poll is going to go live at 5 o'clock, probably when we get off air or very close to it.
Okay.
It's going to see number 3, Rocky IV, go up against the number 4 seed, Remember the Titans.
That's going to be a matchup.
Yes.
Wow.
Very much like two inspirational stories, one being true life, one being fictionalized.
Yeah. Yeah. I know which one I'm going to vote for. You're not going to be happy with me by the end of it, but you know.
We'll see how it all falls out after we get off air. We'll make sure to share those posts on our regular show page as well as on our personal pages, so you can make sure to find that. And if you're not already, make sure to follow fans of Balls and Sticks so you can be notified when those polls go live, as well as so you have a way to vote on those polls once we get them posted.
Yep. Hey, Rich, do you see what's coming ahead?
Is it a left turn?
Yes, it is. Do you know what's after that?
Another left?
It is, because we're back to a tri-oval for the All-Star race for the NASCAR Corner, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. No paid sponsorship, but they're great. Check them out in East Moline, Illinois, for all your sports memorabilia needs. Once again, this is the NASCAR Corner. Oh, helps if I do this.
We got our seats on the back straight away today, Mike.
Yeah, apparently.
All right. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and pull up the Fantasy NASCAR shout-out?
Yeah,
as
we have
Save
some
Mart
big news from the Save Mart race last week in Sonoma. Rich, for the first time all season, you are not in first. Guess
for
what,
that
Rich?
race.
You're also not in second.
For
Rich
that race, yes.
took third place for a race for the first time all season. Solomon Dupo 24 took the lead with 204, or didn't take the lead, but won last week's race with 204 points. Tony narrowly beat you out by a 11-point margin with 159. You came in at 148, and as always, I'm making sure nobody feels left out with 103.
Yeah, I chose to conserve my uses last week to where I think with the way I constructed my lineup, if the guy had 6 or fewer races left, I chose not to use them in Sonoma, even if they were a good road course racer.
Hey, I don't blame you for it, but it means you gave up quite a bit of points on that one.
It's okay. You gotta let somebody else win every once in a while.
Overall, though, you're still well within the lead. Again, this is the first time you didn't win a race. But you know what they say, Rich? If you're not first, you're last. I didn't say
Or
it.
I'm second to last.
I didn't say it. Ricky Bobby said it. Okay, but that does narrow the margin. Rich, you do have a 235 point lead over Solomon, or over Tony, who has a 100 point lead over Solomon, who has a 400 point lead over me.
But you could make up a lot of good points coming back into the second half because you have been conserving your drivers a lot.
Oh yeah.
To where you have a lot of good uses that you could put out there at the end of the regular season.
I do.
Just make sure to use those uses.
Yep, that's
because even if you don't use them, you're not going to get them back next year.
100%. So, overall, from what I understand, it was a good race. I did not get to see last week's race at all, which is fine. Probably won't get to see this week's race at the Texas Motor Speedway. No points actually matter for this. And so, it is the All-Star race. The format, Rich, you and I discussed it beforehand. I don't think we told either one of us understands it enough. We're not gonna. They shuffle the who's in what position multiple times, and it's weird. So watch the race if you want to know how it goes.
Yeah, they're gonna do some random draws. They're gonna do
inverted
the starting order.
Yeah,
I don't.
It doesn't
too
matter.
Hard to understand, and we're not even going to try to explain it.
Nope. We are going to just say watch it on FS1 today starting, I think it started already, right?
Yeah, I think the All-Star Open, I think is at 5, and then the actual, for the people that didn't meet the criteria for this All-Star race or didn't get voted in, can race their way into the All-Star race. I think that one actually starts at 8 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
In the Central Time Zone.
Okay, I don't know, but
well.
So check that out on FS1 today. But Rich, we are changing our format. How are we doing it? Mm-hmm. And who are you picking?
All right. So because there are no points being gained by the drivers, and since with this race you either win it or it's either an all or nothing race for the drivers. Either you get $1 million, you get nothing. No points. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do an all or nothing race as well. If our driver pick gets the win, we'll pick up 2 points on our standings between the two of us. If they don't win, we get nothing. We get nothing, and then we pick up our season series with the Ally 400 from Nashville in the NASCAR second half. So with a 10-8 lead, Mike, I'm going to go with Joey Logano tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a 10. I have 10. He has 8.
I said you had a 10-8 lead, Mike.
Yeah, okay. I thought it sounded like you said with a 10-8 lead.
No. I said you.
Okay.
I said you have a 10-8 lead.
It's true. Okay. Which that's only because you've won two races recently, and you're on an upswing. I am. So you picked Joey Logano. The only way that it works is if you win or nothing. So I'm gonna pick Chase Elliott. Them Chevys.
I like the Chase Elliott.
Them Chevys have been hot, and we're at a 1.5 mile track. Look for Chase Elliott to do good.
Yeah. I chose Logano. I mean, with this format of having random draws and maybe even having to start from the rear to work your way back up, that almost is a formula for Kyle Busch, as he doesn't care what other drivers think of him. He's just going for that win, especially with $1 million on the line.
Yep.
But I think Joey Logano is that way too. I mean, blocking your own teammate in the Daytona 500, causing a wreck, to where causing the Team Penske to come together as a group to say, hey, this is our strategy. Try not to do this again. That's why I went with Logano. We did forget to recap the Save Mart 350 on the NASCAR side.
Yeah.
So
how our points did. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I picked up my 8th point.
Yep.
Because my pick of Kyle Busch came in 5th last week. Denny Hamlin still had a good start. Still had a good finish. He finished 8th in Sonoma, but it was Kyle Larson who led a big chunk of that a big chunk of that race drinking out of a big wine goblet at the end of the race, though.
Yeah. Yeah, did Kyle Busch finally break that curse of the Balls and Sticks the podcast?
It sounds like he did. Finally,
We'll have to see.
finished within the top 5.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if I pick him again what happens.
Anything else
That'll be the true sign.
for the Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated NASCAR Corner, Rich?
I don't think so. I was reading maybe one other story, I think,
Oh.
of Jeff Gordon
Yeah.
maybe stepping away from the Fox Sports booth to have a more active role with Hendrick Motorsports.
So
where-
I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Hendricks himself has stated that when he finally decides to retire and or passes away, whichever comes first, Lord let it not be him passing away, but he's turning the reins over to Jeff Gordon. So
That's what I read. That's the way I read it as well.
So it is a planned thing that has been in the works for a while. So not surprising that he's deciding to take a little bit more serious role, because he's going to have to do that at some point soon. So
Yeah, so maybe watch for that as a developing story, and as this will be Fox's last race for the 21 season, as next week the broadcasting crew will move over to NBC and NBC Sports for the rest of the year.
Which means Junior's back.
Yeah, Dale Jr. and a bunch of other guys. I think I've always felt like their booth was too crowded. They
Yeah.
have too many voices on their NASCAR coverage
Yep, I can understand
during the
that.
race.
Yeah. Okay, and let's let them cars go back around the track for the
Yeah.
Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated NASCAR Corner. Okay. Making left turns continues as we head into baseball. Rich, the Cubs this week played great against some tough opponents, coming away with a 5-2 show-to-show record. Are you buying what they're playing?
So far, Mike, I am. I really am.
Did you get any
They're-
tickets to go to Wrigley?
No,
Are you going to
No.
try?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's fine. You're 2.5 hours away. I'm 5 hours, or I'm like 9 hours away, so, you know.
I
Okay.
don't think so. It's still so they're 37 and 27 overall. We did include last night's win, since we did not do our show on Saturday.
Yep.
They are currently tied for first in the division with the Brewers.
Yeah.
So next week they're going to give Sunday night baseball against the Cardinals tonight.
Yep.
They're going to go to the New York Mets.
Are we going to be blacked out for that like we are for every other? I'm sorry, I should. MLB needs
Yeah,
to
I
change
know.
their blackout rules. I don't know if we've.
If you have cable, if you have a cable provider, a satellite or a cable provider, you won't be blacked out. But yes, we will be blacked out since we can't go on ESPN Plus and click the play button to show the game.
Yeah, dear ESPN, you want people to be interested in your sport. Allow them to watch their home team at their home anytime, any game they play, whenever they want. Sincerely, every fan of baseball ever.
Yes, and then they get to face the Marlins for one game at home.
And then they
From
have,
show to show.
yeah, we talked about the Mets, the 4 against the Mets.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Going out to Queens for the first time.
Yeah.
Going out to the East Coast. No,
Yeah.
they went out. They went down to Atlanta, so they have faced an Eastern team
Yeah.
on the road this year.
Ooh. Okay. So we're gonna
Will they
we
be
we
buyers?
we have
Okay.
2 different questions to split this up into, Rich.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you: do you think the team itself will be buyers and sellers? separate that from your thoughts on whether you think they should be buyers or sellers. Two different questions. So, will they be buyers or will they be sellers come the trade deadline?
I think that they will be buyers
Okay.
if they can get through to either having the division lead or being within maybe 2 games of it by the All-Star break.
I can buy that.
Because the Mets are currently in first place and they have to play them this week.
Yep.
And then to end out the month, they got to face the Dodgers and the Brewers before their schedule kind of lightens up going into the All-Star break, facing the Reds, the Phillies, and then they get the Cardinals again before they hit the All-Star break. So if they can come out of that stretch having the division lead, I think that's going to be a good signal to the front office and make it a little easier for the Jeb, and hopefully the ownership group to say, all right, this team's got something going on. Let's keep the core together and let's add to it. Let's get that starting pitcher, maybe a backup catcher that can be the difference maker for this team.
Yeah, no, I can totally agree. I actually think they're going to be buyers, mostly because Jeb Hoyer says they're going to be buyers, and he's the one controlling it, isn't he?
I'd like to think so.
Okay, I think
like to think so.
If he says they're going to be buyers, I think they're going to be buyers. Now, do you think they should be buyers, or do you think it's time to get as much as you can for Rizzo, for Bryant, for Contreras, for Baez, Happ, any of those guys? We already know Hayward's going nowhere. He's going to rot out the rest of that contract and do nothing for us, but that's okay.
Unless the front office wants to pay him to play for somebody else.
Yeah.
Which I don't see them making. Maybe in the last year of that contract, but not this year.
Nope. So.
Yeah, I'd like to think that the only situation that would see them fly that white flag is maybe if Milwaukee gets the player that they were gunning for, maybe acquires that Max Scherzer, the big name difference-making pitcher, or if they're a little further behind at the All-Star break than they should be, maybe in that 4 to 5 game range, or basically if they're in the position that the Cardinals are in right now, to where they've hit a rough patch between injuries and the schedule playing tough teams, when they're also struggling with injuries, to where the Cardinals are now 5 games back in the division.
Yeah, I think it's something
right
like
now.
that. Yeah.
If they're in the position that the Cardinals are in right now, then that's when you might need to make the tough decision and take the hit from a PR standpoint and wave the white flag and say, let's get something for these guys rather than just a compensatory pick when they walk from free agency.
Yeah, it's rough. I think they need to do something better, but how about the story that Anthony Rizzo said that it's going to be the Cubs organization and not the players if the core does not come back?
What was that again, Mike?
Anthony Rizzo said in an interview this week. Oh, my chair. Okay. Anthony Rizzo said in an interview this week that if the Cubs do not get the core back, it's going to be because of the Cubs organization and have very little to do with the players' desire to play there. Thoughts?
I could see that. I mean, it was the Cubs organization that kind of drove the trade to let go of Yu Darvish.
Yep.
For kind of pennies on the dollar, and trade him away for lottery tickets on low-end players that are, I think, probably in low A, maybe high A right now, instead of getting guys that were more major league ready. So I could totally see that being the reason. But I do like that at least the players understand that, you know what, that if we want to stay together and keep this team together right now, we need to play winning baseball. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like the attitude they have is like,
Yep.
let's make this decision hard for the front office.
Yeah.
Whether they go for it or whether they trade us away.
Man, it also makes you wonder how much of this is the guys playing for David Ross. Like, is David
Yeah.
Ross this good of a motivator?
He's doing something right. You got
I'm not saying I don't agree. I'm just saying, is that what's happening here, or is it more than that?
I don't know. I mean, the kind of the almost the thought that keeps going through my head is that they're taking the attitude of from the plot line of the first major league of, you know what, the front office isn't going to spend money to improve this roster, and they might not have. They could have gone into the season saying, you know what, I hope they lose enough that we can wave this white flag and trade off everybody for the top of the matter. So if you want to stay together and compete for a playoff spot, you need to win.
Yep. So as we continue looking at baseball, the Cubs are outperforming what everybody thought they were going to do this year. Correct?
I fully agree with that. They are
Okay.
totally
How about
outperforming them.
How about a team? And it's, I only bring it up because they are the exact opposite, and they are in the basement, and everybody thought they were going to be a great team last year and this year. The Minnesota Twins. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they just brought back the wrong players.
I think I'm done picking
make
them
that
to do
roster.
anything. This
Is it the fact of so too many disappointing playoff departures in the first round at the hand of the Yankees that it's finally hit them? Or
Yep.
they brought back the wrong, or those veteran players that have always performed for them year in and year out, guys like Nelson Cruz and the youngsters that they thought would be cornerstones of that team going forward have just not performed.
And are they going to be able to be sellers this year? Like, are they truly going to be able to be sellers, or are they going to just be stuck with what they have? Just a thought.
Yeah, I'd almost think that they could be stuck with what they have,
Yeah.
because the guys that you would normally look at as he's a good veteran pitcher who's playing well, but we're not playing well as a team, or they don't have those hitters that are performing up to their normal standards that they could market to other contending teams. I don't think they have that combination of players on that team.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be rough. I bring that up because of our fandom up here who are Minnesota Twins fans. We feel bad for you. We've had plenty of years that look like this as Cubs fans. Hopefully you guys can turn it around by the All-Star break. You got the talent on paper. Any other baseball news that you want to bring up before we head into our quick hits and kind of maybe end the show a little early today?
Yeah. What do you think are the
Who are the big...
too early to maybe start speculating about who they should acquire?
Yeah.
Because I think there's still too many teams that could turn it around by the time July 31st rolls around.
We are so early
But-
in the season, it is too early to say who is going to be an actual seller and who's going to be an actual buyer. Right now, the way the Cubs are playing, I think they're buyers. But if you would have asked me in April, I probably would have said, sell the whole dang team down the river.
But yeah, but how about that Cubs bullpen?
Who saw that coming? Who saw this? Are they still currently sub 1?
I think they are. You got Craig Kimbrell has an ERA of like 0.68.
Who is this
Where was
guy?
this guy 2 years ago?
Who is this
Where
guy
was
that's
this
a
guy 2 years
closer?
ago?
That all of a sudden is playing as if his life depends on it. I don't get it.
Andrew Chafin coming out of nowhere and being not just a cult hero, but a great pitcher out of the bullpen.
And
Like
yeah, truly
kill
a
rally.
truly a
Kill a
cult
rally.
hero, by the way.
Yeah, Ryan Tepera doing really well. Dan Whistler finally performing like the guy we thought we signed 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh,
Youngsters.
sorry. How many of these guys are on? How many of these guys are on contracts, 1-year contracts?
A good chunk of them.
Like half
Probably
of.
not the youngsters.
Here's
They-
the thing: if they keep playing like this and they don't make deals and they don't end up keeping the core together, how many of these guys? How many of these guys are going to be Cubs next year? Look at the entirety of our bullpen, of our starters, of our normal everyday starting lineup. We have half, if not 3/4 of our team on some sort of 1-year contract, right? Or
Yeah,
their
that's why I
contract is
almost
done.
thought beginning of the year, like, this team was almost built so they could wave the white flag and trade off the people that were doing well for them to the highest bidder, and it almost backfired on them.
I mean, it is
That was the
backfiring.
goal at the beginning of the year.
It is backfiring. Because, honestly, here's the thing, Rich. What's going to happen if if they continue to play this well through to the All-Star break? To the trade deadline. Let's get it all the way to the trade deadline. A month and a half,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're playing this well come the next month and a half. If they sell, they look like idiots. Right?
Yeah.
So then they got to buy. Well, who are you willing to use to buy stuff with? So
Yeah,
let's say
that's
you
the guy
don't do any of that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Let's say you just hold steady. Because you've been proven that you're 10 games over 500 right now. And if you continue to play like this, you're heading in a trajectory that's going to have you 20 to 30 games over 500. I mean,
knows? Maybe you Darvish was right when he said, when he got his first game against the Cubs, and he said, "Look at this, they don't need me.
I
They
mean,
didn't need me."
if they do all of that stuff, let's say they do all of that stuff, right? You can't sell. You can't really sell any of these pieces off as a seller. As a buyer, you can do that, but a lot of it's gonna. I mean, you got to figure out where you're gonna put anything you get, right? So you're looking at maybe starting pitching.
Yeah, I'd
Kinda
say
your-
at least one starting pitcher, so you can
Yeah,
cut
somebody
Trevor
to call an actual ace.
Yeah.
I said it. None of our starting pitchers I would consider as an ace right now. You fight me on that, Rich. Fight me on it.
No, I'm not. Cousin Kyle
right.
is a good pitcher, but he's not a great pitcher.
He is.
Where I would be more comfortable with him starting game 2, not
He
game 1.
he last year he was a game 1 pitcher. 2 years ago he was a game 1 pitcher. Right now, I don't see a game 1 pitcher on our rotation at all. Which means you don't have a game 3, maybe 4, whichever. If you're going to do a 3-man rotation, you don't have a 4. And your number 2 is truly a number 3. I mean, I guess with the way the bullpen's been playing, and if you do crazy things like the starter and long release, and just do a pennant game or a bullpen game.
That's kind of been where my mind's been going with this team. Is why not play Rays baseball?
So
Use the strength of your pitching staff, which is that bullpen right now, and just ask whoever you're going to ask to start the game that day. Go 2 times through the order. I don't care if that's 3 innings or if that's 6 innings.
yeah,
Give me 2 times through the lineup, and whether we're losing the game or whether we're winning the game, that's when we're going to start the carousel of bullpen guys coming in to get outs.
yeah, that works in the playoffs, but it doesn't work in the 95-degree heat every day in and day
But
out.
if they can get to the playoffs, they could easily employ that strategy if they choose not to mortgage the future to supplement this year's unexpected playoff team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm scared for them, but I think they'll do all right. Okay, Rich, are we done with
So
baseball?
I guess one more. So if they choose to stand pat or add a guy to mortgage a little bit of the future,
Yep.
and they fall flat in the playoffs again, whether that's losing in the first round to a wild card team or they lose in the division round where they don't make it to the World Series, let alone win the World Series.
Yeah.
Are you going to be upset with the front office for trying to make one more run with the core? To where 22 you're seeing Baez.
How many
Rizzo?
guys do we get next year? How many guys do we get back? That's the question.
I don't
Like
know.
that's the what $1 billion question I think you could say right now.
If you only get one of those guys back, your choice of which one it is. But if you only see one of those guys back with the team, would you be disappointed if the front office chose to go for it and make one more run? If that means giving up some of the top prospects that could have been supplemented the next Cubs core, would you be upset with them?
So you're saying the $210 million question, right?
Yeah.
That's the salary cap for anybody wondering. Would I be upset if they mortgaged, if they didn't do anything to gain future help by keeping the core together this year and trying to do something in the playoffs and then lose out in the... Are we in the first round or are we in the pre-first round?
Let's say that we win the division
'Kay.
because the guy that we acquire was like the missing piece. Let's say
Okay.
that's Max Scherzer.
Okay.
Let's say maybe we make another Jose Quintana type deal to where we give up some of our top prospects to get a guy that can help us now.
Okay, so we get through and we only make it to... So we win the division.
Let's
That
say
means
we
we're in the
lose,
division round. That's the first technical round of the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
we lose in the divisional round?
Yeah, if we lose in the first round to the wild card win to the team that
How bad do we
maybe
lose?
wins the wild card.
How bad do we lose?
It's a 5-game series. Let's say we go. Let's say it's a 3-1.
Yeah, I'm more upset.
Okay. You make it to the NLCS. Maybe lose in 5 or 6 games.
So you're we'll say 6 games.
Okay.
I'm frustrated, but I'm not upset.
Okay. And obviously, if they can make it to the World Series, win or lose,
I'm happy.
not upset at all. Yeah.
100%. Okay. Now, the problem is if they only get one guy back, if they can get 2 guys back, that changes the whole course of it. If they can somehow finagle all 3 guys, do I want them to do that? That's the real question. Rich, do you want them to bring back everybody? Money is no object. You have Bill Gates type money, pre-divorce, not post-divorce, by the way. You have Bill Gates type money. You own the Chicago Cubs. Your name is Rich Ricketts.
Yeah.
That's your parents were terrible for naming you Rich Ricketts. That's a hard life that you're gonna live. But you're a bajillionaire, so whatever. Who cares at that point, right? You own the Chicago Cubs. You somehow figure out how to keep all 3 guys, right?
Okay.
Are you bringing all 3 back if it's your choice?
Money's not an object, and I don't care about the luxury tax.
You
Why not?
don't care about no luxury tax. You wipe your butt with luxury tax. Choked you up on that one, didn't I?
Yeah. I still think
Do you want all 3 of those guys back?
that's the tough one.
Because what have they proven
If
to
you
you
get all
since
3 back-
2016?
Yeah. They can put up good numbers if they're healthy, but there's still a lot of swing and miss, and
I mean, I think it has to do with we need to change the mindset in the locker room. And we need to go away from the swing and miss is acceptable and go back to you gotta do something. Prove something, young man. And let's play small ball. Let's do what we can. Let's be scrappy, and let's win games. And I still have yet to see anybody do that from the core, so I am 100% not sure I want everybody back. But I want everybody back.
Exactly. I'm almost the same way. You don't want to see it. I mean, if there was one move you could undo, it'd almost be that Jason Hayward contract. If you front-loaded that contract when you had all those young guys under club control, to where his salary went down in the later years when it's time to re-sign them, that's how I would have redone the Jason Hayward contract.
Yeah.
Because I think he was an essential member of that team, even when he wasn't hitting, providing that leadership, the behind-the-scenes intangibles, along with Ben Zobrist. But that contract, man, oof, that's not looking pretty. And then the guy that gave him that contract's not even with the team anymore.
Yep. Tough breaks. Okay.
Pretty soon we could be paying a guy that's a Gold Glover $22 million to be the fourth outfielder and the guy that comes in the seventh or eighth inning as a defensive replacement. And
has veteran mindset in what he does. Like, that's what you have. You have a guy that's a veteran and has that veteran mindset. You're paying him to be the second the second coach.
Manager.
Yeah, the second manager.
Yeah.
By the way, you have 4 other guys on the team that are just as leadership capable and seem to take a bigger role in leadership in the team anyway. With Rizzo and Bryant and Baez and Wilson Contreras, all of those guys are leaders in the clubhouse and outside the clubhouse. More than what Jason Hayward looks like. Jason Hayward is fine accepting a check and batting .256.
He's not even hitting that right now.
Okay, I was trying to be nice.
I think he's down I think he's below 200 right now. Yet they're running him out there in the starting lineup every night. A lot of folks on the Twitter that come up on my Twitter feed are almost saying, why are we giving him regular at-bats anymore?
Is he below the Mendoza line?
He's not. I think last night's game I saw the stat come up on the TV that he was batting like a 176.
The Mendoza line's 200.
Yeah, he's probably not even batting his weight, I bet you.
Folks, sorry, I know this makes for great radio, television, however you're consuming this. Oh man, Rich, he's 172.
Just barely over his weight then, right?
Let me see if I can find where his weight is on here on this stat line. No, he is 70 points under his weight.
Oh.
He's at 240. 6'5", 240.
Still plays a good outfield, but are you paying him $22 million to have this bad of offensive output?
His on base percentage?
What's that?
255. Acceptable, not acceptable?
Unacceptable for $22 million and probably the highest paid player on the team.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
Oh, well, that's enough of that. So, Mike, let's go ahead and go into the quick hits. We have a Final Four in the NHL.
Yes.
And the semifinals started tonight, I think.
Yep.
Today.
Vegas versus Montreal.
Yep. and Tampa versus the New York Islanders.
So, how did we do? And are you still feeling confident?
Okay, so you got the Lightning. I got the Lightning right coming out of the Central. The Predators did not make it out. Out of the divisional round play. Neither of us got the East, as I picked the Bruins, you picked the Penguins, and you got the West, as your pick of the Golden Knights made it out of the West. The Avalanche did not, and neither of us got the North, as the Maple Leafs lost in round number 1 to these Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, watch out for them Canadians, and don't call them Canucks, even though that means Canadian too, apparently.
Yeah, so our preseason and pre-postseason Stanley Cup picks are out of it, Mike.
Yeah. Well.
So neither of us really follow hockey or watch hockey on a consistent basis up until they get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who do you like out of that group? Out of those group of 4 teams, Mike?
My second favorite team in the NHL.
The Golden Knights.
The Golden Knights. I looked kind of crazy when I said that one. I'm sorry. I creeped myself out. I caught myself in my corner of my eye.
Montreal seems to be the hot team.
They are.
And it's almost been a team. It'd be, and at least a Canadian and an Original 6 team would get the Stanley Cup back. So I'm going to go with Montreal if I have to pick one of these 4 teams.
Is this your playoff beard, Rich?
No, I trimmed.
Okay.
Yes, I trimmed earlier this morning.
So here's the question: Cubs make the playoffs. Are you gonna grow a playoff beard?
Yes, I will. Once they clinch their playoff spot, that's when I stop shaving.
Let's do it. Okay, folks. Over to the NBA playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, no LeBron James, kind of like what we talked about last week.
Yep.
The Suns currently have a 3-0 lead over the Nuggets. Do you think Denver has any chance of winning this series?
3-0 leads are hard to come back from, but you know the sport that has it happen the most?
The NBA.
I believe it's the NBA. I think they have a chance. I don't think it's a likelihood. Them Suns look good.
They do. They got a good mix. They got a veteran leader in CP3 and some youngsters that are just balling out right now. So I don't think that I'll give Denver winning 1 game, but I don't think it's going to go. There's no way this is going to go 7 games.
The Nets lead the Bucks 2 games to 1. Currently, Game 4 is being played. That's close. Do you think the Bucks? Who do you think wins that one, Rich?
Well, the injury bug is coming back to hit the Brooklyn Nets as James Harden has been out, and now
James Softon,
yeah.
James, I'm too soft to play this game.
Kevin Durant's going to have to carry that team.
Yeah.
But I think I still stand by. I think the Nets can win it.
Yeah, I think they can win it, but you know what? I'm not sure. I like the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a great team. I think they have. I mean, how do you, Giannis? Come on now.
Yeah, he needs to do something.
So yeah, I think the Bucks can come back. That's gonna be probably the best matchup right now. Then again, all of these matchups. I mean, the next 2 matchups look pretty good, as we have the 76ers leading 2 games to 1 over the Atlanta Hawks. Rich, who you picking on that one?
I still like Philly in that series.
You know, I'm gonna go with the Hawks on that one. I'm gonna flip the script on that one. I'm gonna go with the Hawks, and then finally the Utah Jazz, the other hot team that is coming out of in the playoffs, and they've actually been a hot team all year. They've been a dominant team all year, quietly dominant, but dominant nonetheless. lead the Clippers 2-1. I'm picking the Jazz in this one.
I still like the Clippers in this one. I'm going to stand by my pick of the Clippers going all the way to the finals. If Kawhi Leonard wants to lead the Clippers to the finals, this is the year to do it with LeBron James not standing in his way.
Yeah.
But it almost seems 2 straight series going down 2-0. I mean, what does this team need to do? Does the head coach need to coach this team to where with game 1 they need to play all their games like they're down 2-0?
Yeah, but not enough mentality. Like, it seems like the NBA doesn't have the mentality to do that anymore. Back when we were kids and it was, it was the Jordan era, you'd say, okay, we got to play all of these games like it's our last chance. And you could see the difference. Nowadays, it seems like guys, okay, we're down 2-0. We can't come back from this. We're fine. We're down 3-0. We'll be fine. Well, if the Suns win tonight, where's the Nuggets going to be? Dipped.
Yep.
So yeah, I think part of the problem is that it's very similar to the question about no hitters. These guys think it's cool to come back from 3-0. Well, not everybody's designed to do that, and you can't just turn it on all the time. So, okay.
I think this series could come down to who has home court.
Yeah. I still think the Jazz wins that series, and it's going to be great. And, yeah. All right. Suns, Jazz.
Stakes.
Belmont Stakes.
Go Jazz. Belmont Stakes, Essential Quality was the winner.
Man, and how close was I? Like pre-game last week, Rich and I were discussing it, and I'm like, I'm very tempted. I think I like this Essential Quality. I think it's going to be a good horse to watch. But they burned me so bad in the Kentucky Derby. Didn't I say that, Rich?
You did.
I was right there. I'm like, I want to pick them so bad, but I can't. Let's go with Bourbonic, who ended up coming in 5th, and Hot Rod Charlie came in 2nd. Rich, that means did you win the Triple Crown this year?
I didn't get all 3 picks right, but between the 2 of us, I won more races out of the Triple Crown.
Oh, I thought you picked all 3. I thought you picked all 3 better than I did. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. You got the Preakness.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Okay. And then finally, Ben Zobrist isn't selling his ring?
I guess not.
Rich, you got to give me some sources here. What's going on?
Yeah, news broke on the Twitter that his agent is saying he's not going to sell his ring, to where it even pictured Ben Zobrist showed a picture of him wearing his ring saying, I'm not going to sell this thing.
Yeah.
Never going to sell this thing.
I wonder how the auction house got it, how the news broke about it. I'm guessing it's probably one of the it's player quality rings, not necessarily just an actual player ring.
I don't know. Maybe Mr. Zobrist bought 2 rings.
He could have.
And he's selling the one that he accepted from the Ricketts and is keeping the extra one that he bought that's player caliber.
Yeah.
Who knows? I really don't know at this point. The auction house has some ring.
Yep.
And it has Zobrist's name on it.
We going to follow this story, Rich?
I don't know.
I think we should.
As well.
Yeah, it's a good story for us to follow.
That auction date's going to come out sooner or later, and they're going to have to come clean up who gave them this ring. Is it authenticated as his player issued ring that was given to him at the ring ceremony? So it'll be something to watch.
Yep. Okay, Rich. So people are watching us on YouTube right now, but they want to drive in their car and not actually have to watch us. What should they do?
They can go and search for our podcast wherever you find your regular podcast that you listen to. Maybe over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Rich, I helped
Podcast?
my wife's aunt and uncle were like, well, we know you have a podcast, but we don't know how to find it. And so I said, well, get on Apple Podcasts. And they searched on Apple Podcasts, and you know what they found?
They found us.
Two handsome guys acting like they're in the batter's box, in tuxedos. You know who that is? That's these two. If you're looking for us, look for that. Don't look for the pink one. Those girls have not released a podcast in some time. You're not going to listen to us. That's what happens. If you are listening to us on a podcast, you want to participate, you want to get a comment shout out. No comment shout outs today, by the way. But you want to get a comment shout out, jump over to facebook.com/ballsandsticks the podcast, and you will find Rich and I again in tuxedos acting like we're batting in a batter's box. It was a picture from my wedding. We were both barefoot. It was very uncomfortable on the rocks. I apologize. Apparently we were supposed to wear shoes. Nobody told me that part of it. Anyway, you will see Rich and I at Balls and Sticks the podcast. Or if you jump over to Fans of Balls and Sticks, you can participate in our poll questions. We are not playing baseball. We're just looking tough in our tuxedos, looking all pretty and whatnot. Ladies, we're both taken. We're both married happily. So, sorry. But you can still listen to our podcast, participate, vote, do all those things. Any shout-outs before before I do the thing that I do at the end of the show?
I don't think I have any shout-outs today. It was nice seeing the baby dedication this morning.
Yeah.
Of baby Grace.
I do actually have two shout-outs.
Okay.
And one of both shout-outs involve the same person.
Okay, go ahead.
This week was my mother and father-in-law's anniversary on the 9th? Thursday. What day was Thursday? That would have been the 10th. The 10th. Thursday the 10th was their anniversary. And then guess what Friday was? It was my mother-in-law's anniversary. Happy anniversary, or her birthday. Her birthday. So happy birthday, Mama Teresa, and good job and happy anniversary on 32 years of marriage, Tony and Teresa. Hopefully, Danielle and I are happy as you two are in your 32 years of marriage. Hopefully we are there when we get there. And, all that. And Rich, with that, you know what it's time for?
Is it time to roll the outro, Mike?
It's time to roll the outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich.